Hey there and welcome back. My name is Jenny and I am Coach Brightside, and part of my support for breastfeeding mothers and moms to be is going to be a series of videos for you guys all about nursing and just encouragement and tips and things that nursing mothers or mothers to be want to know. Maybe you're a new mom about to have a baby and you just have no clue where to start. So I will start by saying that I had no information. I didn't know anything about breastfeeding my children beforehand. It was one of those things where I kind of did my own research. I was not nursed as a baby. My mom could not nurse me. No one in my family had done it. I did have a sister-in-law that exclusively pumped. So I was familiar with the whole breast pump and the schedule and the demands of it. But as far as nursing your own child, I kind of had to learn as I went. So I want to start this thing, and I'm going to start all of my videos by disclaiming the fact I am not a lactation consultant. I've done my own research. I've had my own experience with this. So I'm speaking from personal experience with this. And all of the information I have is information that's all over the internet. It's just information that I have that I'm sharing with you guys. So what I want to kind of first, and if you see me look down, it's because I've got my little notebook full of notes here. I don't want to misinform you guys. But if you have ever heard of the term lactation, lactating, that means milk comes out of your boobies or your breasts, if you would rather me say. Milk comes out of your mammary glands, which any mammal has, meaning it's not discriminatory against men and women. Men can also lactate. However, the glands are not as mature in the men as they are in the women. Also, the pituitary gland in our brain produces a hormone called prolactin, which is what tells our body to produce the milk. And men don't really get that. Women, when we're pregnant, our body's ability to produce the prolactin increases like 10, 20 times. So it's just one of those amazingly scientific miracles that happens to our body. And it's if you think about the fact that we can grow a little tiny human from this little microscopic cell, and our bodies can produce what it needs for nourishment, it's a beautiful and just amazing part of life. So it's really interesting. I think that society has kind of made it one of those scary things to talk about because nobody wants to see a woman's breast unless it's in a sexual way. So a lot of times you'll hear negative media about a woman nursing in public. I, for one, don't do it because I'm not comfortable that way. And I don't necessarily use a cover because neither one of my children were comfortable being covered up. It's not natural. It's not what we do at home. So in public, if I nurse, I don't just have myself all exposed. I'll just have a cover like as a little barrier. So making this series is kind of exciting for me because I want to bring this information to you guys, but at the same time, I've got my guard up a little bit because I'm expecting a little bit of lashback from this because I'm expecting the naysayers and those critics to have some ugly things to say. But that'll come in other videos. I've got more things to talk about. I want to get back to the lactation 101. So men and women can lactate. You also don't have to be pregnant to lactate. You can kind of trick your body, if you will. If you are, say, a woman who is going to be adopting a baby, so you're not actually the one carrying the child, you're not the one that's pregnant, you can actually trick your body, for lack of a better term, into thinking you're pregnant so that it will naturally produce your own milk. It does take a lot of time and a lot of patience because you're having to do a lot of work on your end. If you're pregnant and you're the one carrying the child, your body pretty much does all the work. All the hormones are naturally there because of the pregnancy. But if you're having to induce the lactation yourself, there's a very long process. Some bodies respond quicker than others, but it is possible to lactate without being pregnant. So, like I said, prolactin is the hormone that tells your body to make the milk. That's where the milk is coming from. And if you think, I call myself the Dairy Queen. I am the milk factory. Sometimes my child makes me feel like a cow. And if you are a lactating mother, if you ever were to squeeze your breast without the child being on it or without a pump on it, you will see that milk comes from more than one duct. So if you think about your breast in the terms of like a plant, there's lots of little roots. So you've got lots of milk ducts in there. You've got lots of glands where the milk's coming from. And once the baby suckles and it makes the milk come out, you'll see it come out of lots of different places. Different babies require different amounts of milk, and I'll get into that in another video as well. But your needs, or your baby's needs, are what tells your body to produce it. So when you first have your baby, the very first milk is called colostrum, and it looks very different than other milk. If you've ever seen formula, it's kind of thick, like a regular milk almost. Or I'm assuming that's what it was. My sister formula fed her children, and it's been 6 years since her youngest. So I don't know if times have changed or not, but what I remember of formula is it was a little bit thicker. And it was darker white. It was like really creamy, almost like cow's milk. Breast milk is not like that. It's a lot thinner. It's easier for them to digest. It's a lot more liquidy and watery. And sometimes you'll hear people say that breastfed babies drink more. That's because their bodies are digesting it more. But the very first milk that you produce is called colostrum. All women produce this, whether they breastfeed or not. If you choose to not breastfeed your child once you have given birth, then your body will just naturally know it doesn't need the milk and it will dry up. If you tell your body, not like, hey, I'm going to feed a baby today, but if your body receives the signal of a baby suckling trying to receive it, it will produce more milk. But that very first milk that comes out is called colostrum. It is super duper high octane nutrients, proteins, fats, carbs, tons of great things in there. And you can actually start secreting the colostrum a few months before the baby's actually born. So if you were to feel a little bit of leakage, or maybe you were laying on your stomach, which I don't know how you could at the end of your pregnancy, but if you were to maybe press on your chest or had some kind of arousal, you may notice a little leakage. That could be a little bit of the colostrum, but that's okay because your body's going to know to produce it for the baby. It's almost like thinking in terms of your baby's very first vaccine, because it's going to help your baby fight off bacteria and viruses that it's going to initially be exposed to. Also, the intestines are permeable. So there's little tiny holes in their little newborn intestines, and the colostrum, the thickness of it, helps to close up those holes and helps with their digestion. And it also acts as a laxative. So it helps them to produce their meconium faster, which is that tarry poo that they get the very first time. That poo that they have to get before you leave the hospital. Now, some women opt out of breastfeeding, but still choose to give them the colostrum, which I don't know what hospitals encourage, what they say, because I knew from the moment I was pregnant that I was going to breastfeed. There was no question in my mind I was going to make it work. Every body is able to do it, but I think a lot of it is psychological too. I think that some women that say they can't do it, now this is probably where I'm going to get a lot of haters, but I think that a lot of women that say they can't do it, it's because of the psychological part of it. I think a lot of women don't like to be touched like that. I think that because of the high demands of it, if you think about it, you're the sole source of nourishment for the child. Daddy can't help. Daddy can't go make the formula in the middle of the night and give it to the baby, because you are the formula. You are their milk. You get up at all hours of the night. You feed their every nourishment requirement. So I think that a lot of women that choose not to breastfeed, it's a psychological thing. Maybe they just go into it frustrated, because you have to be very much accepting of the fact it's going to be hard. It's going to be painful. Your body is going to have to get used to it. The nursing itself, I can't think of the hormone off the top of my head. I want to say it's the oxytocin. That's the feel-good hormone. When your body knows it's nursing, it's going to contract your uterus. And that's what helps to get your uterus back to size. And that's what happens during nursing. And it's painful. That's a hormone that's brought on by the nursing, and it helps your body get back to, or your uterus get back to the pre-pregnancy size. So not only does your uterus hurt with those contractions, but your nipples have to get used to it. You have a little tiny human suckling on your nipple for, who knows how long they need it, however long they want. I know for myself, I don't remember this with my daughter, but with my son, especially if the latch is not right. This takes a little bit of experimenting with your child too. We'll talk about this in another video. I have several other videos for you guys to watch after today. But if their latch is not right, or if something's just not right, then you can experience bleeding, cracking, very serious soreness. If you're not feeding them on a good enough schedule, if you're getting too full between feedings, you can experience engorgement. And some women are just not mentally prepared for those changes in their body. And that is okay. I hate the term breast is best, because in all honesty, I feel like for my children, breast was best because that was my choice, but it may not be right for everyone's child. Some women have to go back to work, and they aren't able to exclusively nurse. So it all just depends on your body, what you're mentally prepared for, and what you're mentally committed to. It's a lot of work. Look, he's wanting to nurse right now. He must know what breastfeeding is, what I'm saying. Can you get him for just a second? I'm almost done. And then another amazing thing, talking about the high octane milk of it. Breast milk is specially formulated for your child. Now, I'm not saying that formula is bad in any way. Don't twist my words. Formula nourishes a lot of little tiny humans. And I saw that the FDA requires all brands and all companies to provide 29 specific ingredients in it, as far as like vitamins, nutrients, things like that, that your baby's body requires. However, because of dietary needs, some companies may produce one formula maybe for like colic, maybe there's like an organic formula. So generally speaking, all formulas are pretty much the same. But your breast milk is catered towards your child's needs. So what you eat, what you feed yourself, you are producing to your baby. When your baby suckles, a little bit of their saliva, so basically their backwash, is then brought back into your body. Your body recognizes what they need, and then your breast milk changes depending on what their needs are. So say your baby's catching a little bit of a cold, your body is going to pick up on that and produce some more antibodies, or whatever nutrients it is your baby needs to fight off that cold. So that's why a lot of times you'll hear people say that breastfed babies aren't as sickly as formula-fed babies. I don't know the statistics on it. I don't know that there even are statistics, but I've heard people say that breastfed babies are not hospitalized or medicated as much as a formula-fed baby. So there's a lot of cool information out there. I encourage you to do your own research before you consider breastfeeding or formula. I'm just sharing my own personal experiences. My daughter, she weaned 3 weeks after her first birthday. My son is still nursing now. However, I am going to start encouraging weaning just because of our lifestyles and his needs are changing. And it's just the time's right. I have a friend. I don't want to say her name because I don't want to put her personal information out there without asking her first, but I just saw her post today that she has been nursing her 2 sons, they're twins, for 27 months now. And I think that that's amazing. If your lifestyle allows for that, do it as long as you can, because your body is going to benefit from it, but so is theirs. So I hope this information was informative to you guys. I hope that if you are a nursing mom, maybe I gave you a little information you didn't know, or maybe if you're considering becoming a nursing mom, maybe this helped you get a little bit more encouragement, because I know it can be kind of intimidating if you don't know where to start or what information to look for. So if you have any questions, as always, I am an open book. Feel free to ask. I will be glad to tell you whatever it is that I know, and I appreciate you watching. Thank you so much for being here, and as always, my friends, be bright. I love you so much. Bye, guys.